I'm Romain and today we are at Garden Canada to talk about advanced cooking technologies that benefit professional kitchens. Equipment is such a key part of a business. When you have the right equipment, it can cut times, which in the end means more profitability. For this edition of Chef's Academy, we are talking with Chef Kris Tatemichi, Garland's Canada corporate chef. Chef Kris, welcome to Chef's Academy.
Thank you.
Can you please briefly explain what convotherm combination cooking technology is and why it has become such a popular method in modern kitchens?
Yes, so convotherm ovens, combination cooking is a marriage of three types of cooking styles. It's dry heat, it's steam, and then when you add those two, chef, kind of energies together, you get combination cooking, dry heat with steam. And why is it really, really popular in modern, advanced kitchens and making its way to more and more kitchens, I find, in market now?
Yeah.
When you look at our display, it's very, very easy to see. It's very, very bright. It's 10 inches and very, very big. It's intuitive to kind of understand where to begin cooking. You have the chef's hat and, our cooking modes just kind of open up. There's steam, there's hot air, and combination cooking right there. When you want to begin cooking, you press the green button to go. And so what we find is that the ease of use, that user interface, that UI, it really just takes a lot of that trepidation, a lot of that fear of using technology-driven pieces of equipment away. So, everybody from your dishwasher to your executive chef can begin using the equipment. That's one advantage and why people think it's, a great tool to have in your kitchen. The other piece too is, we've built in some safety as well into these ovens, which is really, really nice. We have a two-stage door because when you're working with hot air and steam, chef, all of that steam is behind the door and you can't always see it. So if you were able to swing the door open, you could actually badly burn yourself.
Yep.
And so we're kind of stopping that from happening by cracking the door open once and then again to the left to safely open the door. So there's some embedded safety into the actual oven itself. And then finally you can push the door away as well. And that prevents burning of your arm. And then you can also specify to have this piece of equipment anywhere on your lineup as well, which is kind of a neat thing. Why do people really enjoy working in combination style ovens? I think because it's extremely precise. It's got a lot of high efficiency built into it. And you can do a lot of different cooking techniques actually in the oven as well. Everything from proofing, baking, sous vide, roasting, and smoking, and then everything in between as well.
For sure. And I mean, and if you're a chef watching and you hear this problem, something we've all dealt with, the steam, the door moving, it's always in the way, kitchen are tight spaces. So, you know what, I think this is pretty incredible and definitely will already resolve many issues when we just look at key functions.
Yes.
So what are the main advantages of using convotherm combination cooking technology?
Yes, yeah, and it's a great question. The advantage of cooking in combination mode, if you will, on a convotherm oven is really consistent results. So consistency, I mean, when steam is introduced to the cooking environment, it will roll out all of the unevenness that could happen in a traditional convection oven. Steam wants to expand over and over and over inside of the actual oven here, and what that'll do is create really even cooking conditions back and front, side to side, which is a huge advantage.
For sure.
There's an alternating multi-speed fan, of course, inside of the oven. That helps to disturb a lot of the airflow as well to create an even cooking environment. So that's one advantage for sure. It's helped by a closed drain system. And by that I mean there's a P-trap at the bottom of the actual oven itself, which creates a vapor barrier, which means, chef, that no atmosphere can escape the oven. So it's an incredibly efficient cooking environment. Steam is not escaping.
No heat loss.
No heat loss.
Yep.
Furthermore, we're not letting steam escape through an open drain, which really creates
no floods.
Exactly, which creates a really efficient cooking appliance, but also a really energy conscious cooking appliance. Other people really enjoy overnight cooking. And what we do is you put a multi-sensor probe inside of your large cut of beef, like a brisket, for example, and you're able just to close the door, walk away, and come back in the morning, and that brisket is perfectly cooked for you. The other advantage of cooking in combination mode is that it's very, very fast, chef. It's 20 to 30% faster. And when you add steam to the cooking environment, steam wants to transfer its energy extremely quickly and very, very efficiently. And so what you get there is a very fast cooking time, which some people benefit from. When you add steam to the cooking environment as well, it's capable of defrosting products very, very quickly as well. So think frozen pastries. I know that's not your favorite. But if you're an operator that can't make delicious croissants, then if you have a convenience product that's totally frozen, we find that in combination cooking, you get really nice baking results in combination cooking. And then how else is it an advantage? Well, it locks in moisture in a really, really nice way. If you're cooking in an entirely dry environment, and sometimes you have to, depending on the product that you're cooking, it can dry out. You can get some burnt edges on the outside, for example, or the skin of your product can get really, really dry. So when you're cooking in combination cooking, hot air plus steam, often what will happen is you get a really kind of moist product, very, very tender product, and also you're getting great yield. So if you start with 100% weight for a roast, for example, and you're cooking this in combination mode, you've got better yield than if you're cooking strictly in a dry environment.
Right. It's one thing that I also found for using this technology for quite a while is sometimes, let's say, a piece of meat that we would have categorized as second or third category, by using this technology, we can actually achieve more tenderness, more juiciness, something we wouldn't get with a traditional oven.
Yeah, that's a great point for utilization.
So how do chefs typically use the Convo-Term combination cooking technology in their kitchen? And what are some dishes, cooking methods where this technique really shines?
Yeah, and so we talked about the technology piece and the ease of use. How do we interact with the oven, I think is a really great question. How are chefs using it? So every oven comes with hundreds of recipes that you can begin creating with. And so I just go to my my cookbook here, and it's very tactile, and you can begin cooking from any of these icons here. Very, very high definition. You can recognize that where, sometimes there's a barrier to language. I can see that they're carrots, so if I press the carrot button, I know I'm cooking carrots, for example. But to expand on that, the way chefs really like to use the oven is to use multi-staged cooking, for example. And the example I like to use is if you're cooking a chicken. And if you were to put this into an oven and just dry heat, you have a real risk, chef, of drying out the bird and it not being delicious. So maybe you could just cook it in multiple stages, employing, steam, hot air, and combination cooking modes in one cooking program. So for chicken, for example, I would start with combination cooking to keep the bird nice and moist for most of the cooking time. And I'd bring it to a set point of 150 using my probe. As soon as we hit 150 with the probe, I'll put this into a dry, hot air environment, and I'll kick up the fan. I'll evacuate all of the humidity outside of the oven, and what'll happen is I'll begin to very quickly brown and render the chicken skin in that very final cooking stage, bringing it up to a safe temperature like 165, for example. And that's one way our customers like to interact and use the oven, for example. But there's other things too, like sous vide, for example, which you love, which is a very gentle way of cooking. It takes away a lot of the guesswork when you can apply time and temperature. And our Convo-Therm ovens are accurate to between 1 to 2 degrees Fahrenheit, which is an extreme accuracy.
Especially when you do volume as well.
Exactly. And the other way that our chefs like to use our appliances is bulk cooking. So large production cooking. So think 20 pounds of broccoli that you need roasted to a very, very precise measure. Think you've got 6 whole trays of lasagna, for example, that you need to bring to a safe temperature because you're cooking in a hospital, for example. And then, or think too that you have 6 to 8 rotisserie chickens that you want to make sure that are all exactly the same and evenly browned on the outside. That's one way that our chefs like to interact with and use our Compotherm ovens.
Lots of definitely key advantages, right? Like we don't want to have a 6 chicken and 4 of them are beautiful and 2 look like they missed some part of the heat in the oven.
Yeah, you're exactly right.
So many chefs speak about the precision and consistency of that Compotherm combination cooking technology. So how important is that in a high-paced environment? And can you share a specific example where it made a significant difference?
Yes. So specifically, precision. One style of cooking that I really, really enjoy is barbecue. I love barbecue cooking, and smoking is a large element of barbecue cooking. And I can think of one customer in particular that has many restaurants through Canada that doesn't have terribly skilled labor, for example, but need to deliver on a really high quality product. Right. And they call them barbecue experts, if you will. But with turnover in our industry, 200% turnover in some cases, it's really hard to find that very specific skill.
Right.
And so, what they're using is our Compotherm oven now with the smoking feature. It's embedded right inside of the actual oven itself. I can put pucks or chips inside of the actual cooking box itself. And this just slides right into the oven. And with the touch of one button now, Chef, this particular restaurant is able to do probably some of the best brisket, some of the best ribs, some of the best pulled pork, without really overthinking the process.
Right. Yes.
Which is super, super important because
consistency.
Consistency is really important because I think in their previous life, maybe they were using an electric smoke box.
Right.
And there's a lot of interpretation there as to, is this too much smoke? Is this not enough smoke, for example? And we take all that guesswork away.
Well, and also sometimes those appliances are kept outside, outdoors, and especially here in Canada, we know that in the summer we're going to have 20 to 30 degrees. In the winter, we're still going to serve smoked meat, but we cooking environment is going to be like minus 15, minus 20. So we are taking that completely away by having like all throughout the year a consistent heat, consistent program, and of course, efficiency and consistency.
That's right. And you make me think of something else as well. That smoker just does smoking.
Yeah,
that's all it does.
Yeah, it's true.
But now you've
smoking and cooking.
Exactly. Now you have an appliance that's your steamer, your oven, a combination cooker, and a smoker now as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, what challenges have you or chefs using Garland Canada Compotherm combination cooking technology encountered when using combination cooking techniques, and how do you overcome them?
Yeah, and it's a really good question because you're not going to be the expert at something the very first time you get a new piece of equipment in your kitchen. So we focus a lot on training.
Right.
We'll have customers in our test kitchen, just like we are here today, to kind of explain some of the features and benefits of the oven, how it operates, its maintenance, so that we know what to expect when the oven comes to your kitchen, for sure. So. In addition to that, when we get on site and we're unboxing the oven, it's all hooked up to its appliances, electricity or gas or water. And it's been drained properly. Myself or one of my chef team will actually go on site to further train, kitchen staff on how to use the equipment. And that's super important. We'll bring them really, really close to the oven, and we'll start, doing this thing, loading and unloading best practices. And on top of that, we have an online portal as well, where I've got lots of really great videos and how-to videos in very tiny chunks.
Right.
Easy digestible little nuggets there. Yeah, so people can understand, hey, how do I steam something, for example? The most common things that I think people make a mistake with the oven is a maintenance thing, and you have to treat it almost like your kettle, for example. Yes. You're not going to let your kettle sit on the counter for years without descaling it.
Absolutely.
If your oven requires descaling, that should be part of your regular maintenance program as well.
Yeah, of course. And I mean, I can actually have dealt with it, like doing openings. And what I loved about it was the fact that also, let's say we're opening, I was like, I don't have time right now, but you offer it as well. The fact it's okay, we can come back at another time. And it makes it super easy when you train a new team. It's not every company will offer you the fact that you can actually have your whole crew together and literally get a lesson. And it's so important when you have such a high quality piece of equipment too, right? Because most chefs never use them. If you're lucky, you have for years, but some it's brand new. And also technology changes so quickly. So there's always new features. So it's always great to have those little video where I can simply just look at it and explain it in person.
Yes, exactly.
So does converter combination cooking technology contribute to sustainability in kitchen? How does it help with reducing waste or improving energy efficiency?
Yes, and that's a huge focus for Combotherm, and they're based in Germany, and so they have a kind of a European standard when they approach Energy Star standards and also the efficacy of the equipment itself. So I did mention at the top of our video we do have a closed drain system. Other manufacturers, and they're all great ovens for sure, they have what's called an open drain,
right.
And so as the water is exiting the actual oven itself, it's at a very hot temperature. To meet municipal code, they have to cool that water down, so you have to add additional cold water to the cooking process. And we have a closed drain system for the Combotherm ovens, so we don't actually have to account for that. And what we find is that we use about 30 to 40% less water than other manufacturers.
It's not a small amount.
And not uncommon to us as manufacturer, but combination ovens in a general sense, they are a little bit more efficient because you have to think this oven's not on all the time. They're very specific programs that we're running for our cooking modes. And once we're done with that particular cooking program, the oven turns itself off. It's drawing the same amount of energy as an alarm clock, for example.
Right.
So we find some efficiencies in that way as well.
So now the future, and how do you see converter combination cooking technology evolving in the next few years? And it already has done so much. And what innovations are you the most excited about?
So AI is a hot topic, and I think people are applying it in the right way and the wrong way, but I'm really excited to see elements of artificial intelligence in our equipment, in all of our portfolio actually. Specifically to the Combotherm ovens, last year we were first on market to have an AI image recognition program built into our oven. Chef, you're gonna love this.
Wow.
So you're in a grocery store, for example, you've got very unskilled labor sometimes working in the bakery department. But if you have a convenience product of, baguette, some simple pastry that, should be baked on site to create excitement in the bakery, you can smell it and you can see it coming out of the oven. How do you do that with people that don't know how to bake, for example? How do you do that if they don't even speak the language, for example? Well, you would load your pastries onto a tray, you would open our door, and as you're putting the product in, the oven understands basically the load size and also the type of product being cooked.
That's crazy.
As I close the door, the oven begins cooking that product automatically for us. So I'm really excited for some advancements in that way, where we're just taking away more and more complexity and just making it super, super simple for people to begin using.
Yeah. And I think we have to look at it as in it's not because it's somebody actually knows how to, it's somebody that doesn't know how to. So it comes as a help rather than taking away from somebody skilled, right? And
we were talking about this too as we were kind of getting ready today. You have to have really good product, high quality product. And while labor hasn't matched the demand for skilled trade, that expectation for the customer is still there. We
Yes,
still
of
want
course.
really great product.
Absolutely.
One more thing, Chef, that I'm really kind of looking forward to, is continued connectivity for Convotherm. We can link all of our ovens through a cloud.
Okay.
I can monitor the performance of the actual oven. I can upload and download recipes and menus to the oven, which is very beneficial to my chain customers.
Yeah.
But I'm looking forward to seeing continued connectivity where I can now operate the oven from my
Right.
tablets or from my telephone as well. I can be in Mexico on a beach and I can see how my brisket is cooking, for example. That I'm excited for.
That would be next level. And for example, fridges, like I do have thermometer where I can keep whatever I am in the world. Again, I can see the temperature of my fridges, and so I can call somebody and be like, hey, like, can you make sure the oven is the fridge, is at the right temperature? That's something that we can also have where, for example, if we're at home, we can still see the process of the cooking and then maybe call somebody on site if we feel like it needs intervention. Is that something that we'll see as well, I guess, part?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. We'll begin seeing this in the very short future where you'll get notification or push notifications.
It's almost ready. Your meeting must end now.
yeah. Well, soon though. It's going to be pretty exciting to make it a lot easier for us.
That's amazing. So that was a lot of very clear information about this technology that has been in our kitchen but evolving at a really fast pace. But now we're going to talk about another type of cooking, which is really, I will say, a battle between chefs, but changing drastically towards that new technology, and that is induction. So let's talk about that now. For those unfamiliar, can you explain the core benefits of induction cooking in comparison to gas or electric cooking?
Yes, and Garland Canada is really proud to represent induction cooking technologies. Just for those that are not exactly aware how induction works, there's a series of coils that are actually built underneath this high-tempered ceramic glass. Those coils, when you apply energy to them, create a magnetic energy which induces the pot to begin heating extremely quickly. You have to use an induction-ready pot for induction to work, but the core benefits of induction, it's a very safe technology. So I can have this boiling very hot and just put my hand right on top of the element. It's not producing any energy or heat through my hand. There is no open flame as well, which is a real benefit to the environment when you're cooking.
Yes.
There's no grease-laden vapor, which is produced from cooking. There's no exhaust, there's no risk of the pilot turning off on you. It's completely quiet, and it is about, the most efficient cooking appliance in the market and available today.
Definitely very quickly for having used all the methods and try. I always tell people boil water. And this is the best way you can actually see the difference in terms of speed. And I will say, going to people who might say like, well, my equipment doesn't work because it's not induction. By now, most of them really are anyway.
That's right.
So chef, how do the precision and speed of induction cooking improve workflow and execution in a professional environment kitchen?
Yes, so you talk about precision. This particular unit is able to dial in an exact temperature all the way to 212 degrees Fahrenheit or 100 degrees centigrade. And the opportunities that I think about, that precision piece, to me, it's if you're a chocolatier or if you're working in the dessert station and you have a very specific temperature you need for sugar.
Curd or something like that, yeah.
Exactly. And now you're able just to dial that exact temperature in. Let's say you're doing a simmer, for example, and you need a very gentle simmer at 190 degrees. Fahrenheit because you're poaching eggs, for example. You don't really want to fiddle with that subjectivity of how high or low the flame is. Here, you're just able to dial that temperature exactly right in. Yeah.
Well, actually, I'm helping right now a chocolatier on how to open her store, so I'm gonna have to convince her to get one of those. She'll love it.
Yeah.
And I will say induction cooking is often praised for its safety, as you mentioned. So how has it impacted kitchen safety? And what are some of the practical ways to minimize risks?
Yes, and let's continue that conversation about safety. And I also want to talk a little bit about the cooking environment too, Chef, because if you were to walk into a kitchen that uses exclusively gas, there's nothing wrong with a gas kitchen. That's what I learned to cook on. That's what people continue to cook on. It's kind of a loud environment. There's physical clanking of pans on the ranges, and it's very, very hot. And so on the hottest day of the summertime, you can have a lot of additional heat kind of built into the kitchen as well. Is that always the best place to actually work with a heavy chef's coat, where we need to wear this for, we look cool, but also it's for protection to prevent us from spills and burns? It's a heavy material, and in a kitchen where it's using all gas, that can be quite hot. Now, Chef, if you were to walk into a kitchen that uses induction cooking technology and marry that with other high efficiency electric appliances, you'll find that it's actually a very cool kitchen.
Yeah, you reduce the residual heat coming from just the elements being hot, really.
Exactly, and you also find that it's a very quiet kitchen. And we're struggling to get a workforce into our Canadian kitchens, and our workforce here from not the most traditional pools of people. And we have to make that a more inviting kind of space for people to come and join our kitchens.
Absolutely.
Because it's a great place to work. So for safety too, I can think this Indux burner only recognizes that the pan is on it. The moment I take the pan off of this, it stops energizing energy. So we're not overheating the unit, we're not over-energizing the actual unit. It's completely safe that way as well.
And I guess which also mean that your appliance will last longer, in a way.
Yeah, they're built for endurance, they're built for durability. I have a video in my library that shows one of the Indux technicians taking a pan twice as heavy as this, raising it over his head, and then dropping it directly on top of the induction burner. The glass is extremely hard.
So can you speak about the energy savings and environmental benefits of using induction cooking in a commercial kitchen setting?
Yeah, and just the difference between gas and induction style cooking. Efficiency. So I've got a gas range, and there's a literal flame underneath of it. Maybe that element is larger than the pot required to be on it. The flame size is still the same flame size. And so now I've got actual fuel and flame licking the sides of the pot here. Maybe it's not even making contact with the actual pot itself. So I'm going to call that 40 to 50% actual efficacy. Now, when you're using induction, because it only conducts energy, Chef, where it's making contact with the pot, I'm going to say that's 90% efficiency. So they're extremely efficient in delivering their power. Some other benefit there too in using induction, these don't have to be built under a hood.
Right.
And a huge cost to entry in building a restaurant is your HVAC.
It's crazy, actually.
Yeah. And so now you can get out from under the hood, but additionally, if you did have hoods, because there's a mixture, and that's probably more typical, there's a mixture of different types of utilities actually in a kitchen now. There's less stress actually on the hoods because it's a less hot environment now.
And there's
less power and also less emissions.
And to add to it, when you talk about the flame, it's also like a misconception from some chefs that flame on the side is actually heating properly, but you do want the heat to be below and absolutely not on the side that does nothing, and if anything burning what you actually have in the pan.
Yeah, I think of my very sensitive dairy products like that as well. Oh, hey, too, if this boils over, no problem.
Yes.
Just give it a wipe.
You don't have to spend 2 hours on cleaning the gas stove.
Yeah, exactly.
We've been there.
And the pilot kind of turns off on you. There's no pilot here. It's just working.
So what advice would you give to chefs who are considering switching to induction, but still are a bit hesitant due to the learning curve or cost?
Yeah, and we get this question a lot. Induction is a little bit more expensive than an electric or gas piece of equipment. But I would say that in the long term, there's lots of really great energy savings that you can see over the course of the life of your equipment. It's not upfront, but it's over the course of the life of the actual equipment. It's no different than my auto filtration fryers, for example, where over the initial cost up front is what it is, but the operator begins seeing savings in oil and raw material,
in which the price of oil has been going up pretty crazy the past few years.
Oh yeah, for sure, and it's quite a volatile market, if you will. As far as the learning curve is concerned, it's just like anything else when we train somebody on a new piece of equipment. And just in my experience, I think that learning curve is actually quite small when you begin working on induction. It's a lot easier for me to tell a cook, hey, cook the duck on level 5, than it is to, hey, cook it on a medium heat, but I want you to interpret what that level of heat is by how big or small the flame is.
Right.
And just like our combo therm oven, we have a team of chefs that are happy to begin training with all the resources that are available online through our online portal. There's lots of really good videos and materials there to continue training on induction.
Do you think induction cooking will become the newly standards in professional kitchen? And if so, why?
It's a hot topic.
It is. That's why I'm asking.
It's a hot topic. So I'll just say short answer, yes. Yeah, and when that'll happen, I don't know, but I can look to, the European market. They've been using induction technology for decades.
I mean, like all the Michelin-star restaurants pretty much in Europe have made the switch already.
That's right. And I would say that most of the European market is actually on electricity as a general sense for their major utility for their kitchens. And I start to see in states like California and in New York, there's outright bans now on brand new builds for restaurants with gas. And I think Vancouver also is going that way as well. So, outside of the environmental benefit of cooking with electricity as opposed to gas, I do think it is the way of the future because of just the energy savings, that surround this piece of technology as well, and all the other things that we covered off there: the ease of use, speed, accuracy. It is the future.
The only difference is we won't be seeing movies where there will be big flames and the very realistic type of a chef.
We'll have to create our own drama, so we'll flambe with a barbecue lighter in our pocket.
So Chef, before my last question, and you're probably the best person to answer, why should chefs choose Garland Canada over the competition?
Yeah, and thank you for the opportunity. Garland Canada is the sales and marketing team for all well-built products globally. And we did touch on this. Our approach has always been just a tailored approach. We want to find the best piece of equipment that suits that customer's needs. Not one piece of equipment is going to get you there. It's not always the best piece of equipment to get you there. But we're in a great place where we're able to offer refrigeration solutions, fryers, ovens, kettles. So when I think about my interaction with our customer base, it's always consultative. It's always helping our customers to get to the right place to make those right decisions so we can build a long-lasting relationship with them.
And I will add to it also, I had the chance to give me a tour, and we are in the demo kitchen right here, but there is a door just next to us, and we are in the facility, in the factory. And not everybody has a chance sometimes, like a piece is built in the US, another in Europe. Here we are on site, and the workers are literally next door to accommodate also, and we can really get with it. We can see it with our own eyes, which is always great.
Yeah, and that's right, Chef. And for our particular lines that are Canadian made, like Garland and like Cleveland, our steamers and kettles, because we're so close to the source, we can resource our chef team to basically influence design elements that are happening in real time. It's nothing for us to pop the doors to Narnia to the factory to say, let's try to bend the metal this way because it performs better in operation that way.
So there's an exchange directly. That was amazing. I will say I was pretty excited. And I will say, right now I'm here with my Chefs Canada jacket, and Garland Canada has been a great supporter to Canada and Canada's team, and also everybody that is in touch with the hospitality industry.
Yeah, we have deep roots, Chef. Thank you for that. We have deep roots in the Canadian hospitality industry, and we're happy to support Chefs Canada. We're happy to support the Bocuse d'Or Canadian competition team, and we have deep roots with Restaurants Canada as well to really help propel industry forward and to support them in those types of ways too. You can see us out there in the field in places like the BC Chefs Camp with the Chefs Table Society of British Columbia. You can see us at Raw Almond, the restaurant festival in Winnipeg. Yeah. You can see us at Terroir in Calgary as well, the culinary symposium. And then we just got back from Prince Edward Island for the International Shellfish Festival, which is just straight fun, where we bring 12 chefs from all over the country to compete for $10,000. And I would say, that's one of our strengths is our continued support of the entire industry.
Well, on behalf of Chefs Canada, chefs, I want to say thank you, because we do appreciate everything you've been doing. So to wrap up, can you share any upcoming innovations from Garland Canada that chefs should keep an eye on, particularly in combination or induction cooking technology? We talked about AI, but is there anything else?
Yes, and I would say, Chef, thank you for asking. Just to keep your eyes peeled. Come to the Restaurants Canada show, come check out our booth, walk the floor with us, ask these great questions.
And it's easy to find as well. You're pretty big in there.
Yeah, and I think another great place to kind of get hints to innovation and where we're going with our advanced cooking technologies. Join us on our Garland Canada Instagram channel. I know that we're collaborating today, so just go ahead and give us a follow there, and you can see some neat stuff in contests.
You should.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Chef Kris. It was an absolute pleasure and very insightful class as well. We hope that it answered all your questions about combi and induction cooking, and thank you to the Chefs Canada community for tuning in today. If you want to be featured on the Chef Canada page, chat with me and run a Chef's Academy masterclass on a topic you're specialized in, DM us or visit our website and let us know. Chef Kris, it was an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you.